Welcome to Garden Sanity. I'm Laura, and today I want to show you what's blooming in the beginning of June, here in the center bed in my front yard. The first thing I want to show you is that the drift roses are finally blooming at the same time. I planted the drift roses, there's two of them, over on the right. Let's take a closer look. So I planted these 2 years ago. And they look absolutely beautiful. And because I instantly loved how well they did, I decided I've got to plant two more. So then I planted these. Now what was funny is last year, these two bloomed opposite from those two down there. So I never had, I think because I had just planted these, they were on a different bloom schedule, probably from the way they were developed in the nursery. But now they're blooming at the same time, which is exactly what I wanted. And what's nice is in the middle, you have a knockout rose. So that is really pretty for some curb appeal. Behind the drift roses, you see two pinky winky shrubs there. And there are two pinky winky shrubs on the other side of the crepe myrtle, which are the stems, the trunk that you see. This is the crepe myrtle. It's now so large I can't fit it in one shot on my camera. So I left these gorgeous peach drift roses a little bit larger this year in front of the pinky winkies, but I also did that because I did not know, this is my first year with this, and I have two more of them along the front. This is a Firelight Tidbit hydrangea, and you can see how tiny it is. Isn't it cute? And that it's already getting some flower buds on it. This is going to be absolutely beautiful. Here's a previous picture of what the landscape looked like when I had 3 hamlin grasses in front. And what I did was I replaced those grasses with these Firelight Tidbits. And that's going to provide a nice pop of color. Firelight Tidbits will bloom a little bit earlier than the pinky winkies. And as you can see, like I said, they already have their beautiful buds. So that is going to look dynamite to have some color right up front until the pinky winkies get going. So I think I'm finally happy with how this bed is looking. Let me show you what else I put in here. So what's so pretty about these peach drift roses is they change colors, as you can kind of see on the shrub here. So they start out almost like a dark pink, a dark rose, and then they start fading as they get more mature. They almost seem to have like a yellow center as they get a peach color, and then as they mature even more, they fade to a little bit more of a pale pink. Just beautiful multicolors on one shrub. So I'm in the bed now, and these are the trunks of the crepe myrtle tree. And I came in here so I could show you, I still have a few blue flowers on the chocolate chip Ajuga, which I planted behind the Fothergilla shrubs to protect it from rabbits getting at them. Rabbits love Fothergilla, they don't like Ajuga, so that seems to have worked. And then this guy is a little Leo Leopard's Bane, and he bloomed in the springtime with yellow flowers. I have one also on the other side to mirror. And what happens now is, you see they're getting a little bit yellow. They'll fade down to nothing, and you'll barely even see them throughout the summer. They'll start putting some new green growth out in the fall, just a tiny bit, getting ready for the springtime. And just down from the little Leo Leopard's Bane are Hellebores, and I planted these just about a month ago. And they still have, this guy still has at least one little flower on him. Try to get close for you to see. And let me step back so you can see where they are. So I have one there, one there, one there, and one there. So I've got 4 on this side. And then you've got Geranium Rozanne, by the way, which is just starting its absolute heavenly blue flowers. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And then you have the knockout rose, 2 more Geranium Rozannes, which haven't started yet. And then there are 2 more Hellebores back there. And they are right next to another color guard Yucca that's a little hidden by the peach drift roses. But 2 more there. So it's kind of a neat thing. You'll have sort of a curved line of Hellebores. And again, these are evergreen, but they bloom winter into spring. And it really depends on your climate, because usually mine would start in, say, February. This past year, one variety I had in the back started in January, and it still has one flower on it. These are Ivory Prince Hellebores, so this is a new one for me, but I've been dying to grow these for years, ever since I saw them at the 2019 Philadelphia Flower Show. So here's a picture just so you see why I was so in love with them. Now, what else I planted down here was I planted these little guys, and this is called Beach Bum Blue Dwarf Morning Glory. It's also called Evolvulus. You might see it listed as that. And I planted those all along the front. So you see, there's 2 more there. And then I planted 2 more down here. But they have, again, a beautiful blue color. And these are spreading. They're Dwarf Morning Glory, but they're not vines, they're not climbers, but they do spread. And they're not invasive either. These are annuals for me. So what I'm hoping is it will give more of that blue color that you see that's just starting with the Geranium Rozanne. I also put some Bandana Gold Lantana in here. These are very easy annuals for me, and I hope they do well. I put them here as well, and I just thought that that would be a nice pop of color amongst the Firelight Tidbits, the roses, and then of course my pride and joy Pinky Winky Hydrangeas. So I just planted the Dwarf Morning Glory and the Lantana this week. So once it starts heating up, and we had a very cool spring, hopefully these will kick in with the heat. They're all heat lovers, the Dwarf Morning Glory and the Lantana. So those will kick in, and the Bandana Gold is a spreader. So you'll have spreading yellow color as well as spreading blue color from the Dwarf Morning Glory and the Geranium Rozanne. So here's a shot of the bed from the street. And you'll notice I also cut back a lot of the daffodils. One benefit of the daffodils blooming much earlier this season is that I could cut them back earlier. Last year I didn't cut them back till towards the end of June, and I gotta admit, it's kind of nice having them done already. So the other plant here I forgot to mention is a Sedum Autumn Fire. And this already has some flowers coming on it. You can see that up close. However, I'm gonna leave it. Last year, I cut them all back like you're supposed to, you know, the so-called Chelsea chop everybody talks about, and they didn't do anything. They actually resented me cutting them back, and they weren't happy. So I'm just gonna leave them this year. And if they bloom early, they bloom early. I'm okay with that. So I like how these peach drift roses fill out color all the way around. So even on the side of this bed, as you're walking down the path, you have beautiful color. And that is going to look stunning once the Pinky Winkies are in bloom. I absolutely love it. And here I have some bare spots I can fill in with plants, and the time for me to figure it out is now, while I still have daffodil stems sticking out, so I don't bother the bulbs. And then this is a King's Gold Mop Cypress, all pruned for the season. Now this one I cut down quite a bit because there's one on the other side that mirrors it, but they don't mirror it growing wise. One gets way more sun than the other. This one has grown a lot faster than the other one has. So I cut this down quite a bit to try to even up the 2 shrubs. And then down here, see the disturbed dirt? I'm dealing with that a lot, and that's okay. That is robins, not rabbits, so I'm happy about that. I double checked on that. But I've got some robins with a nest in the euonymus in one of the foundation beds, which I just think is so cute that that's where they chose to make a nest. And then this is beautiful orange rocket barberry. Look at that color. This color is just stunning. Now I do want to prune this a little bit, and I will probably do that soon, so stay tuned. You don't have to prune orange rocket barberry at all. You can just leave it as is. It grows upright, as you can see. But it's spread a little bit, not spread, that's not the right term, because as you can see, it still has a very small base, but it's just fanned out a little bit more. So I think I want to take some of this off. But I'm not in a rush to do it. It's okay. This is a resilient plant, so you can almost prune it any time and it'll be okay. And then I've got remnants of a Sedum Autumn Fire that I thought had died, but it's there, so I'm just leaving it. And then this is a sea green juniper. You may remember I did a video recently where I pruned a giant sea green juniper in our backyard. So I have 2 of these in the front. Here in this center bed, there's one over there. But this is a beautiful plant, and again, you can watch that video to see what I did, because I tried as best I could to keep as much of the natural growth so it still looks nice and full while cutting back into the shrub, just to keep it at a more manageable height. Now these flowers are Lychnis Petite Jenny, are the pink flowers, and in the back are Lychnis Petite Henri. And I mentioned these in my May video, I think, on what's blooming. Now you can see these are a lot more faded now, and they are so beautiful with the totally tangerine Geum flowers. So this is the first season with them blooming, and I'll tell you right off the bat, one thing I learned, and I'll do it next year because I think it'd be too hard to try to get in here this year, is I think I need some sort of support, you know, a decorative support, almost like what you would use for peonies, because these start to lean when you get some rain. And they're so beautiful. Luckily, there's some shrubs they can lean against. However, I would like them standing up more upright. And then the Henri's got a little rock he can rest on back there. But it's very beautiful. And then you have just the nice blue-green leaves of the Fothergilla behind them that just provides a nice backdrop all season. But these are gorgeous. I bought a couple more of the Petite Jenny, the pink ones, to plant. I'm not sure where I'm going to plant them yet. I am absolutely in love with this plant. This is supposedly sterile and will bloom all summer, so stay tuned and we'll see how it does. But my goodness, even as the petals are fading a little bit, look how beautiful that is. Absolutely stunning. And then we move over here. Did you notice that all my lamps have bird poop on? That's the robins. The robin, especially the one that's got the nest in the euonymus, he likes to come out, and when I'm out here, he wants to let me know that this is kind of his place, even though it's not, we share, but I don't think he sees it that way. So he poops on everything, and primarily it's the lamps. So look how tall the totally tangerine Geum is. That's amazing. It is quite happy in this spot. I transplanted some here. I divided them and transplanted them 2 years ago, I think it was. And they're just doing great. These are also sterile, so they will bloom not all summer. They will bloom a long time. Most Geums just bloom in the springtime. These guys started in probably about a month ago, and they're still going strong. So you get sporadic bloom in the summer. Sometimes you get another bloom in the fall. And these are, pardon me, these are members of the rose family. And you can see how the flowers sort of look just like a rose. You can see that here. And then when the blooms are spent, they also have really pretty detail. But that is just a nice combination right now. And at the base, I just stuck in one Bandana Gold Lantana, just for some spreading color. Again, this is a spreader, just to spread it out a little bit at the base of all these plants. I'll see how it does. And then over here behind the rock, what you see is another Geranium Rozanne. And then there's another plant back there. And in between, right there, is a Starship Rose Lobelia. Now I'll give you a closer look here so you can see. It's just the leaves right now. They're beautiful green leaves, and the edges you can see are just tinted with some burgundy. Absolutely beautiful. And there's another one that's hiding back here. Let me get through some of the Geum. Let's see here. Right there. See that guy. So what is different about the Starship Rose Lobelia is they are a little bit later this year. Usually they would have some stalks coming up already. So we'll see. Maybe that's just a little delayed. And then over here, I've got two Blue Star Calamaris behind. Let me show you here. This is the other sea green juniper. And the blue star calamaris will probably start blooming, I would say sometime this month, probably another couple weeks. Again, I think once it heats up, everything kicks in. And those are beautiful periwinkle colored flowers. And then you can see back there, behind those two rocks, is more of the chocolate chip Ajuga, and that is the Fothergilla with some remnants of its bottle brush flowers. And then we have a beautiful orange rocket Barberry again. And you can see the really pretty chartreuse color it has on the inside. Just really beautiful. But I do want to trim it back just a little bit, although it looks like such a sculpture right now. You know, every time I get to this point where I think I want to prune it, I end up leaving it. And then down here is another Sedum Autumn Fire. And again, as I said, the flowers are coming out. So I'm just going to leave it, see what happens. Like I said, last year, and remember last year, I'll put a video up. Last year, not only did I Chelsea chop these, but I cut off some and stuck them in the dirt because I was told you just stick them in the dirt and they're going to grow new ones. And so I stuck them all down this way. Hey, look, do you see any? No, none of them made it. So I think what I'll do is I'll root them a different way, maybe in water or just in a pot or something, and try that out because they are supposedly very easy to duplicate. We'll see. This is the other King's Gold. This is the one that I said grew a lot shorter. And you can tell I didn't cut enough off because, or as much off I should say, because you can see how yellow all of this still is. And that's from the winter time. It gets much more yellow. And you can see the newer growth is more of a green. And then that takes us around to these two Pinky Winkies and the Crepe Myrtle again with the beautiful peeling bark. It peels in the winter time, usually fall into winter, and then it just has this beautiful mottled look. Someone said it looked like camouflage. And before you know it, these Pinky Winky shrubs are going to be a lot taller with a lot of flowers on them. And then on the end of the bed on each side, I have a blue rug juniper. And I'll show you over here. Just some beautiful berries. Look at that. They're like a powdered aqua color. So one last thing I had to show you was the Dappled Willow. Now this is in the back, so it's a little bonus. But look how beautiful it looks. Now you may remember that I coppiced these down to the ground 2 years ago. And that's because they were overgrown. They were about 15 feet tall and just out of control. The limbs were growing sideways. It was just a disaster. But now they are back to their bushy selves. And they look beautiful. This is one of the two seedlings I planted. I started the seedling, I think almost, is it 2 years ago? And then it was finally ready to plant. I planted it last fall. And he's doing nicely. And then look at these guys with the beautiful pink. Really pretty. Just really nice. Our fence is 6 feet high, so you can see they're starting to reach over that a little bit, which is nice. Just really, really nice. I am so happy with how these turned out. This shrub is a little more coiffed, so to speak, because I pruned it last summer. I started pruning it after I pruned that one. Wait, where is that one? Oh, it kind of died. I'll show you that in a sec. But this guy I started to prune and I gave up because it was too hot, and thank goodness, because I think what I had done was I had heat stressed the plant a little bit. But this is bouncing back. You see a lot of the new color is the mottled cream and green, which is nice. There's not as much of the pink here, although you do get some, look at this, almost ultra pink. But the rest of the shrub you can see is fine, so hopefully this guy will forgive me. Then I planted this seedling as well last fall. Again, doing very nicely. This one had multiple stems. It's got some pink on it, which is great. And that is a stump from one of them that didn't make it. And those are some weeds. And then this is the one that was the original shrub. And in previous videos, in fact, I'll put a link above and in the description area below so you can see what happened, is I pruned this, and I pruned it at the wrong time. I pruned it in the middle of the summer last year, in the middle of heat and humidity, which was stupid. And the heat stress got to it. So it died. However, not only am I getting this little guy down here, complete with some pink, but look at this beautiful stem. So the stem popped out, I left it, and then we decided we'll stake it up with a shepherd's hook and some easy Velcro green tape. And I think I'm gonna end up with a standard. So I will have, I think, a dappled willow tree. Now you can't get much easier than that, right? So shrub dies, stem lives, flops over, and then we say, look how strong it is. Can we stake it up? We can. And yeah, I did cut a couple little branches off of the Magnolia Jane tree, just so I could make room for this lovely specimen. And I am thrilled, because this was the original shrub that all of these cuttings and other shrubs came from. So I just never want to lose this shrub. I'll feel really sad if I do. And then just two more quick things I'll show you. This is just all Magnolia Jane growth, and so I will be cutting some of that back, because I think I might save maybe 1 or 2 stems so that they can start to fill in and we get more stems coming. And you can see back there, you see that skinny stem? That's what I did with that stem. Is 2 years ago I let it be, and then it's now become quite a tall stem. So I'll do that with 1 or 2 of those, and the rest I'll cut out. And then this is the false yucca, or red yucca. And I keep telling you, I am going to do a video specifically on this plant because it's a gorgeous one to grow. But I wanted to show you, I've got the start of some of the flowers that are going to come up, and the flower stalks stay up all summer. We cut the Magnolia Jane tree back last year because the third one back here wasn't really getting enough sun to bloom, and it's telling me it's happy because I see 1, 2, 3 flowering stalks on it so far. So that's dynamite. So that's it. That is the tour for early June. I am looking forward to showing you much more in the weeks ahead as more things kick in and start to bloom. And in the meantime, happy gardening.